Let's all stand. All persons having any business before this honourable court now draw nigh and give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Queen.
Admission of lawyers. Stephen Joel Adler.
May it please the court, I move that Stephen Joel Adler be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Stephen Joel Adler be admitted as a lawyer of this court. One moment, please. I've got a list of these names. Thank you. I'm sorry.
India Hannah Bennett.
May it please the court, I move that India Hannah Bennett be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That India Hannah Bennett be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Valerie Rose Brewer.
May it please the court, I move that Valerie Rose Brewer be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Valerie Rose Brewer be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Isabella Grace Buchanan.
May it please the court, I move that Isabella Grace Buchanan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Isabella Grace Buchanan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Margaret Kai.
May it please the court, I move that Margaret Kai be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Margaret Kai be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Damien Chen.
May it please the court, I move that Damien Chen be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Damien Chen be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Catherine Chalk.
May it please the court, I move that Catherine Chalk be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Catherine Chalk be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Shannon Thomas Michael Cobley.
May it please the court, I move that Shannon Thomas Michael Cobley be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Shannon Thomas Michael Cobley be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Kiara Louise Cunningham.
May it please the court, I move that Kiara Louise Cunningham be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Kiara Louise Cunningham be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Timothy James Darcy.
May it please the court, I move that Timothy James Darcy be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Timothy James Darcy be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Matthew Mark Del Gigante.
May it please the court, I move that Matthew Mark Del Gigante be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Matthew Mark Del Gigante be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Anna Clara Della Mata.
May it please the court, I move that Anna Clara Della Mata be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Anna Clara Della Mata be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Holly Kathleen Eastway.
May it please the court, I move that Holly Kathleen Eastway be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Holly Kathleen Eastway be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Piper Caitlin Fraser.
May it please the court, I move that Piper Caitlin Fraser be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Piper Caitlin Fraser be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Tracy Joy Gideus.
May it please the court, I move that Tracy Joy Gideus be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Tracy Joy Gideus be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Alexander Luke Hutchinson.
May it please the court, I move that Alexander Luke Hutchinson be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Alexander Luke Hutchinson be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Vanessa Jan.
May it please the court, I move that Vanessa Jan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Vanessa Jan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Shi Wen Jiang.
May it please the court, I move that Shi Wen Jiang be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Shi Wen Zhang be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ashkan Koshab.
May it please the court, I move that Ashkan Koshab be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Ashkan Koshab be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Shelby Leanne Coe.
May it please the court, I move that Shelby Leanne Coe be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Shelby Leanne Coe be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Renata Tanya Labio.
May it please the court, I move that Renata Tanya Labio be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Renata Tanya Labio be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Peter Alexander Liaskos.
May it please the court, I move that Peter Alexander Liaskos be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Peter Alexander Liaskos be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Iris Wing Tung Lo.
May it please the court, I move that Iris Wing Tung Lo be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Iris Wing Tung Lo be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Charlie Liu.
May it please the court, I move that Charlie Liu be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Charlie Liu be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Wen Kai Liu,
May it please the court, I move that Wen Kai Liu be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Wen Kai Liu be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Linus Nabuki Malu,
May it please the court, I move that Linus Nabuki Malu be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Linus Nabuki Malu be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Lucy Isabel McKinlay,
May it please the court, I move that Lucy Isabel McKinlay be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Lucy Isabel McKinlay be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Daniel Dennis Miklius,
May it please the court, I move that Daniel Dennis Miklius be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Daniel Dennis Miklius be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
John Philip Miller,
May it please the court, I move that John Philip Miller be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That John Philip Miller be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Arad Moradian,
May it please the court, I move that Arad Moradian be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Arad Moradian be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Christina Moravec,
May it please the court, I move that Christina Moravec be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Christina Moravec be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Natasha Monique Novo,
May it please the court, I move that Natasha Monique Novo be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Natasha Monique Novo be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Rebecca Pekovsky,
May it please the court, I move that Rebecca Pekovsky be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Rebecca Pekovsky be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Vincent Allen Rocker,
May it please the court, I move that Vincent Allen Rocker be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Vincent Allen Rocker be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Nicholas Herbert Rose,
May it please the court, I move that Nicholas Herbert Rose be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Nicholas Herbert Rose be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Patrick Edward Schwager,
May it please the court, I move that Patrick Edward Schwager be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Patrick Edward Schwager be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Catherine Schleapnikov,
May it please the court, I move that Catherine Shrilopinikoff be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Catherine Shilopinikoff be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Madeline Ann Sidgraves,
May it please the court, I move that Madeline Ann Sidgraves be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Madeline Ann Sidgraves be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Samantha Smythe,
May it please the court, I move that Samantha Smythe be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Samantha Smythe be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sarah Cherenchi Tan,
May it please the court, I move that Sarah Chian Chi Tan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Sarah Chan-Chi Chan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Connor Patrick Joseph Tarpey,
May it please the court, I move that Connor Patrick Joseph Tarpey be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Connor Patrick Joseph Tarpey be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Matthew Peter Thrush,
May it please the court, I move that Matthew Peter Thrush be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Matthew Peter Thrush be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Lucinda Ann Toomer,
May it please the court, I move that Lucinda Ann Toomer be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Lucinda Ann Toomer be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Amy Wang,
May it please the court, I move that Amy Wang be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Amy Wang be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Chun Ki Keith Wong,
May it please the court, I move that Chun Ki Keith Wong be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Chun Ki Keith Wong be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Mishon Jia Eun Wu,
May it please the court, I move that Mishon Jia Eun Wu be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Monsieur Jia An Wu be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Paula Yu,
May it please the court, I move that Paula Yu be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Paula Yu be admitted as a lawyer of this court. Thank you, Registrar. Thank you. Now that the formal moving of lawyers has ended, I'd like to warmly welcome you to this virtual admission ceremony at the Supreme Court of New South Wales. Present with me on the bench today is Justice Stevenson to my right and Justice Williams to my left. Each of their honours are members of the Equity Division of the Court. Together we constitute the court that has, in exercise of its jurisdiction, admitted you to practice. As we gather for this celebration physically dispersed, I would like to begin by recognising the various traditional lands on which we meet. This ceremony is streamed from the Banco Court, which is located on the land of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. I acknowledge these traditional custodians and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. We recognise the long-standing and enduring customs and traditions of Australia's First Nations and acknowledge with deep regret the role our legal system has had in perpetrating many injustices against Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. To all the new lawyers watching today, welcome to the legal profession. This admission ceremony may be different to what you were expecting. These are challenging times when you're unable to be admitted in person. However, your admission, conducted remotely, reflects the agility and adaptability which you will need to possess as lawyers in an age of great change. This is a time for celebration. You have all worked extremely hard to get to this point, through caffeine-fuelled nights and obscure problem questions, reading countless wafer-thin pages of textbooks, and more cases than you can ever hope to remember. You have entered the world of eggshell skulls, encountered a mysterious reasonable person, and have understood the Constitution consists of so much more than just the vibe of the thing. In becoming a lawyer, you have joined a centuries-old profession with ancient origins. The custom of advocates swearing an admissions oath dates back to the 12th century. This court first admitted lawyers to practice in 1824, and by 1830 the names of lawyers were entered onto rolls in this state. You have now become part of this tradition almost 200 years later. Perhaps for some of you, that is how long it feels like you've been studying. And for many of you, the support of your family and friends would have been invaluable. No doubt they have also often been on the receiving end of your finely honed skills of argument and persuasion. I do hope you take the time to thank them today. The oath or affirmation you have made before this ceremony is a serious one and deserves solemn regard. Whether you work in private practice, at the bar, in a community legal centre, or in an entirely different field, you should be known for your honesty, your integrity and your commitment to justice. It is an acknowledgement of this weighty responsibility that we observe today's unique formalities, including the moving of lawyers and our somewhat unusual choice of fashion. I recall on one occasion some years ago, a young member of the audience asked if we were doing Santa photos after the ceremony. Regrettably, we were not. However, although we mark this occasion with formality and tradition, not everything in the legal profession remains unchanging. You'll be unsurprised to hear that over the past year and a half, we've had to adapt quite a bit, as you can see today. COVID-19 has meant a rapid shift to increased use of virtual courtroom setups and technology to ensure access to justice continues in the midst of a pandemic. Things don't always go so smoothly, as those with me on the bench can undoubtedly attest to. There have been real difficulties to grapple with in terms of open justice, effective communication and fairness to participants. And occasionally a lawyer might even get stuck behind a Zoom kitten filter. But for all the challenges we are facing, the impetus is greater than ever before for us to prioritise flexibility and accessibility. Better use of technology and increased working from home arrangements have profound implications for how our legal system interacts with many people, including those in rural and remote areas, those with a disability, medical conditions or carers' responsibilities. As the newest members of the profession, you are at the forefront of innovation in the law and have a unique opportunity to see through changes so that justice is done openly and equitably. There are, of course, other changes that deserve attention. When we think of the diversity of the legal profession, we encounter the duality that we have come very far and that much still needs to be done. Though women were originally not permitted to practice, and since 2016, women have made up more than half of all the solicitors with a practising certificate in New South Wales and currently make up 63% of solicitors under the age of 30. Women occupy many of the most senior positions in the law, including, of course, the Chief Justice of Australia. However, women continue to face challenges of representation, including amongst judges of these courts and, for example, amongst barristers in speaking roles in the High Court. On the other hand, it is heartening to see that the local court of New South Wales has almost achieved gender parity amongst magistrates, but we must not be complacent about these issues. There are other noticeable diversity concerns that we must face head-on. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and people from diverse cultural backgrounds continue to be alarmingly underrepresented in the legal profession and particularly within the judiciary and the ranks of senior counsel. We must also be alert to barriers to the profession for people from less privileged backgrounds. Law should not be a profession for the wealthy, and the idea that students may be dissuaded from studying law by the cost of a law degree, which this year has again increased, or because of other systemic issues, is troubling. Not just this, but we will only achieve a truly diverse profession when barriers to advancement are broken down and people from different backgrounds are properly supported in a collegiate and inclusive environment free from harassment and discrimination. These issues are fundamental to a just and transparent legal system and to the legitimacy of the rule of law. We need diverse representation amongst advocates and judges so that all people who become involved in our justice system can be properly heard and fairly engaged with by a system reflective of our broader community. Despite these challenges, there is real scope for change. There is far greater diversity of background amongst junior lawyers than those who have been around for as long as me. You are in a unique position as new lawyers who are entering the profession at a time when more than ever your words and actions are having an impact for good. You are being heard and taken seriously when you agitate to correct injustices, whether it be speaking out against unsustainable working cultures, sexual harassment or bullying within the profession, unfair laws or systemic failings affecting our society's most vulnerable. I urge you to continue to speak up for these things. They do matter. You are the future of the profession and will steer the direction it will take. As a lawyer, you will also need to make difficult ethical decisions at times. With regard to our personal characteristics, lawyers have been the butt of jokes for centuries. Some would say there are, of course, only a handful of lawyer jokes. The rest are true stories. But jokes aside, you must use the tools you have developed to think critically and not compromise on your fundamental duties to the court and the administration of justice and the other ethical duties you must uphold. Now that you are lawyers, you can get paid to argue instead of just arguing for free. Of course, there's a lot more to it than that. You're an advisor, a problem solver, a mediator, and an advocate for the marginalised. As you go about your day-to-day work, remember that you're not merely dealing with the law in a vacuum as a series of abstract concepts, but law as it applies to people's lives. For this reason, you must strive to deliver legal services competently and fearlessly, with courtesy and integrity. Justice Gageler, before he was a High Court judge, once said, "You must be prepared to give the same answer to the same questions for the same reasons, no matter who asks the question or for what purpose or in what context the asking may occur." That is foundational to upholding the rule of law. For those of you who will practice law, the way you communicate information to others will have profound consequences for access to justice. For a non-lawyer, law is often incomprehensible. One of your roles as a lawyer will be to make law accessible to others, sometimes by deciphering legal complexities, other times by deciphering poor legal drafting, and sometimes both. One thing you will regrettably strike throughout your career is legislation which seems carefully crafted with the object of ensuring that no one can understand it. Your task is not just to understand it, but to explain it clearly to those whose rights and interests are affected by it. As lawyers, we must not keep the law locked up as something knowable only to us. A client reading your advice should be empowered to understand your meaning, not mystified and confused. So be clear and concise in your writing and your speaking. Plain English is powerful. Consider, do I really need to say aforementioned or herewith? Must I sprinkle in that Latin phrase? Should I really use double negatives, tautologies and wordy clauses that take up a whole page? I would suggest the answer to these questions is almost invariably no. The best advocates can make their point simply and succinctly. Now, some of the most experienced lawyers and judges could use that reminder from time to time, but don't pick up their bad habits. I also want to speak about failure. I would not be surprised if there are quite a few overachievers and perfectionists watching this live stream today. Even so, at various points of your career, you will make mistakes, some minor, some more serious. When you do make mistakes, your commitment to honesty, integrity and the administration of justice means that you must take responsibility, correct what you can, and learn from those errors. You must fail at times in order to grow. What is important is that you try not to make the same mistake twice. I myself have made many mistakes over the year, far too many to remember, although my colleagues from sometimes take delight in reminding me of them. But even as Chief Justice, my decisions have on occasions been successfully appealed to the High Court. At that point, all I do is remind myself through gritted teeth that it's not a legal fiction that the High Court is infallible. But in fact, even dissenting High Court judgments have from time to time become the law. Finally, I want to emphasise that your mental health is extremely important. Now, this might sound unexpected of this type of ceremony, but the law is not everything. There may be times when you feel overwhelmed, burnt out or distressed. If you do, you should not be afraid to seek professional help or take a step back when you need to. Also remember that the law is a collegiate profession, and in times of difficulty, the support of your peers will prove invaluable. I found that out throughout my career. Although you might find it hard to believe, I was admitted quite a long time ago. I lost my first case, and I lost many more after that. But throughout my 35 years in practice, I could always count on the other barristers in my chambers to share my disappointment at the unfairness of the verdict, the sly tactics of opposing counsel, and most often, I regret to say, the obtuseness of the judge or judges before whom I was appearing. I hasten to add I don't include either of my fellow judges on the bench in any of those comments. On behalf of all the judges of the Supreme Court, I once again congratulate you on your admission and welcome you to the legal profession. The Court will now adjourn.